but I will at some point, that from my personal experience, to me, it is easier to perform well on a ranged character than it is to perform on a melee, which is why, among many other reasons, I chose to play Red. First, because it was my first character. Second, because I enjoy it the most. But third, because I find it harder to play and to play at a level that I find acceptable for myself than it would be, and then it has historically been on a range character.
Before you say something, Dragon, I want to ask you this, Val. Do you think that that same opinion can be translated over to PvP?
In what way?
But that's true. But Val is like putting it all on.
No, I'm not saying everything is the same thing, and I'm going to tell you that it depends on the player. But at the same time, I understand one thing. I understand that if I'm going to play against a shaman as a red paladin, then I have severe disadvantages. It doesn't matter if I can slow them. I have a severe fucking disadvantage, and that's the same thing for other classes. I'm not saying it's a different skill set. If you're saying that kiting someone is a higher skill set than staying on them and killing them, I'm just going to tell you that I think it's different.
Kiting is that, dude. Kiting is a major skill set for any race class.
Yes, I completely listen. I completely agree, but I'm saying that it's not a harder skill set to acquire. I'm just saying it's a different skill set.
It absolutely is.
It is.
It is, dude. Because Dragon plays Frost DK, and he tells me all the time how much damage he does. He doesn't know what the fuck he is doing in an arena. No offense, Dragon.
No idea. Yeah, I agree. I'm right there with you.
Again.
Dude, you try to cast as an Ellie Shaman in this game, you get or a fucking Shadow Priest. You will not get a VT off until you fucking play 12 billion games.
Right.
You need to learn how to juke. You need to learn how to kite and survive.
I'm not. Listen, I never said that if I were to play range right now in PvP.
No, but what you did say was that the skill set to pick up killing and kiting. That kiting.
It's a different skill set. Listen, for melee. And we're not talking about arenas, but let's say for a regular battleground, right? The skill set to just fight people and beat them is a different skill set than kiting them. But kiting them is not much harder than the one you have to pick up. Now, doing it in arenas, I think, is completely different because it's all about synergy. It's all about group. It's all about seeing everything. It's all about playing at the maximum level that you could possibly ever play at. I believe PvP is much harder than PvE in every respect.
No one's arguing that.
At the same level of play, I'm thinking that the best fucking PvPers in the game trounce any PvE players.
Dude, Turbo is like is like you're a fucking mongoloid if you play Turbo because it takes no skill. You play RMP, you can die in a second. Like it takes no skill, buddy. It literally takes no skill to kill people.
No, but it is harder than PvP. Dude, PvE is pretty.
I'm thinking it does take skill, but not the same way. You have to think about how to use your offensive cooldowns, how to use them.
Val, dude, you've got your turn, dude. You've got like 10 minutes of your turn, dude. So let me just say what I have to say.
Listen, you asked me a question. I was just answering it. I was not.
I'm going to try.
Take your time. So
I get that. I get that. If I don't say something, I'm not going to get to talk. So I'm going to try to say this so I don't lose my shit. But going back to what we were talking about skill cap, right? We were talking about how skill cap for range players is higher. So performing a class the highest it can perform, which is top players. Am I incorrect in that? Does anyone have any disagreements in the channel on that? No?
Get some laser guns in the chat if you don't agree with this young man.
Yeah, there you go. So going back to what I was saying about how your opinion is not relevant and my opinion is not relevant and no one's opinion in this channel is relevant on the subject, it's true because none of us are top players. None of us play a class to its maximum output. Are you disagreeing with that, Val? Are you disagreeing that anyone in this class or this channel plays a class to its maximum output? I'm not saying they did. I'm saying in this expansion, do you disagree with that? I'm not hearing an answer, so I'm just going to assume yes.
No. Look, give me a second.
A little random, but I'm not going to shit on it. It's good. Good for
So,
you. It just kinda came
the
out of
only
nowhere.
way, listen, the only way, because we're only arguing in circles here.
No, I'm just asking you to agree or disagree.
No,
I'm
listen,
not even arguing.
No.
You just got to answer my question.
You can't agree or disagree. The only way to salvage this and to try to fix this whole stupid argument is to figure out one thing. The only one thing that we can do here. And the only way to figure out is if objectively, right? If objectively, it's harder to achieve the same level of success on a range. If it's easier to do that on a range than it is to do on a melee, what you have to do is you have to look at every class and you have to look at their performance versus the amount of people who parsed it, right? And that's what you got to do. That's the only way we're going to be able to do it. We're going to have to check how many people can actually fucking perform that. Let's say we give ourselves a mark, right? Either blue, because maybe blue is not going to be good enough, right? Because you're just talking about the best players in the entire world, right? Right. So if we're going to do that, then we have to look at a purple parse, right? Purple and orange. We're going to have to look at a median performance that's purple and higher, right? My point is that those players, right? Notwithstanding the class that they choose to play, but if you take those very players, the top 10 of every fucking class, and you made them play at the same, like you give them an account with a character that has the best in the slot, min-max shit that they can, and they can play the class at the same level. I'm saying that they're going to perform at the same median performance average than they would on their main. The main, it wouldn't do the same damage, obviously, but in terms of the player in the class versus everyone else who plays the same class, they would perform at the same median performance average. That's my view on it. That's my entire argument. You take that player that's top 10 in any class, you put him range or melee on a character that's equal in terms of its itemization, I would say that it would perform on a median average at the same level. And the only way to solve that is to just check how they're performing versus their entire class. It's the only way to solve this argument. It's the only way to solve it.
No. I just want you to look at some evidence I have. I want you to look at Mage and take them as an example. We'll use 75th percentile as an example. At Mage at 75th percentile in Mythic and Taurus,
Link
right?
me what you're looking at.
It's the same thing. Just click what I linked in Discord and go to 75th. Now, once you do this, if you look at 75th, all three Mage specs are in the bottom 10. Actually, I take that back. They're in the bottom 8th. Okay. There it is. Now, if we set this to max, right? 75th percentile is above average. I mean, that's honestly like overall that is above average. But let's reset that to max. I just want you to take the look that each, besides Arcane, and like Arcane still jumps up than what it is. How big of a leap each Mage spec just makes? That's just Mage. Let's just keep looking. If we take a look at Shadowpriest at 75th percentile, look at the jump it makes. It goes from like 10th best to 2nd best. All right, let's look at another one. Let's look at Demonology Warlock.
Yeah, that's not what I said at all. I understand what you're trying to do, and I agree with what you're doing right now. I'm saying, listen, for the best players in the world, playing classes that have a higher chance to output, of course they're going to bring out better numbers. I agree. I've never said anything against that. You're right. For the class that has the highest potential, the top players in the world they're going to want that because they want to compete.
So you just agreed with whoa. You just agreed with me though. You just said the highest potential.
No,
you said the highest potential.
No, that's not what I said. The initial
you
argument.
Just said it.
Listen. The initial argument is this: can a player perform at the same level on the melee or a range. We're not talking about maximal output. We never talked about maximal output.
I think I did. I think I said that.
No, we were talking about performance. You're talking about skill cap. And skill cap has got nothing to do with performance. It's got everything to do with what the class can put out. And if let's say that your class
I'm done. That's it.
Yeah,
Listen,
I don't
no,
know where this is
listen,
going, dude.
listen.
This is getting out of control.
Fucking listen. If one class, okay, so let's say that Affliction Warlock can pull out 100% of the damage, right? If we agree on that, let's say just Affliction Warlock, they put out 100% of the damage, right? What I told you initially wasn't that melee classes could beat a fucking Affliction Warlock that puts out that has the potential to put out 100% damage. That's never been what I said. What I said was, and it was clear, you take that player that plays the Affliction Warlock that can put out the 100%, right? The class has the potential to reach 100% of the damage. You take that player that reaches 100% of the potential. You put him in a class that's lower in terms of the potential damage it can put out. So let's say a Red Paladin, right? You put him in that class. What I said from the fucking start, pay attention to this, is that he will perform, or he will most likely perform, at the same exact median fucking performance. Not as is Warlock. He won't, on a Red Paladin, be able to perform at the same level that a Warlock could. What he will do is for his class, for his peers, for the people who play the same shit he plays, his median performance average will be similar to what he gets when he plays his Warlock. For the same level of player, the same level of play, the same fucking guy, his parses from a Red Paladin won't be the parses from a Warlock. But his median personal average will be the same than it would be. So if he is a fucking gold fucking parsing motherfucker in his Warlock, he gets 100%. What I'm saying is that he would get 100% on his Red Paladin on his parses. That's all I've ever said. We're talking about skill cap. I'm saying the same guy that plays amazing at Warlock, if he can perform that way on a Red Paladin, that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking he's going to be able to do the same. I'm thinking if you put him on a Red Paladin for all Red Paladin parses, then he's going to be at least purple to orange. That's all I've ever said. That's all I've ever said. At all. That's the entire fucking point. I'm not saying that one class doesn't have an advantage over another. I'm not saying that if those classes, right? If those classes, instead of being at max, Affliction Warlock, Shadow Priest, and Frost Mage, were Fury Warrior, Windwalker Monk, and Assassination Rogue, then you'd see the numbers swap around, and you'd have way more people play those classes, and way more of the top players in the world would gravitate towards those classes. And if you don't believe me, just go look at the raid that was there before.
So what's your opinion on Hunters then? Because Hunters are top, but it's the most played spec in the game.
Let's see. I'll find. I'm saying that the top end players will gravitate towards what will perform the best, will do the most
for
damage.
Their class. Dead last.
Let's see. Yeah, take a screen cap of whatever you want. That's not the argument I've been making at all. It has no bearing on anything I've said. At all. I'm saying that tomorrow morning, when fucking Warlock becomes dog shit, then people are going to swap. But it takes a long time to swap too, so that's going to take time to fucking even out. But what I'm saying is...
No, he's making a point, but I guarantee you, I know you're trying to say, Val, but like Zyronic would still be playing his Warlock tomorrow if it was shit, because that's
Listen,
what he's.
yes. Some people would keep on doing it. Let's see. How can I change this thing to, let's see, blah, blah, blah. Does this thing you linked me for the 100 thing apply to other raids?
Yeah,
no, not the thing you linked. The thing you linked. No, not the thing you linked. The thing he linked.
yeah.
The
It's
top 100.
2 weeks. It's over the last 2 weeks.
No. Shit.
I just okay.
No, listen. I want to compare. No, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to compare different raids, right? Because if
I get what you're trying to say, but I'm going to
Right.
tell you is these parses that I just showed you, right?
yeah, they're
These
just for the
parses
last
are over
weeks.
the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, I
If you want to go look at another raid, you can.
Well, that's my entire point. I mean, before Affliction Warlock got so good, right? And that's mostly based on the way that the fights work and the way the class works. But before that, when it was another raid, right? Or before they got buffed, are you telling me that this is the setup that I would have been looking at?
So you're saying
My
they would have been
point-
playing
my
the
point
top
is not-
spec, right?
My point is not. I'm not. Listen, there are players who are, and again, it's not a black and white issue. Right? Millions of people play this fucking stupid game, right? So I'm
Yep.
not saying that everyone behaves the same way. There's no one key.
Yeah, here's another interesting fact for you, Val. The top spec in Tomb on Mythic on Max was Shadow Priest, right? And according to your point, shit tons of people should be playing Shadow Priest. Nope, wasn't even close to the top.
Listen,
spec.
it was Nighthold. Listen, Emerald Nightmare. It was the top ones were Shadow. Oh, is that now?
No, I was talking about
7.2.
Tomb. For Tomb.
No, listen. I'm looking. Listen, I'm looking at 7.0.7.1 for Emerald Nightmare. It was Shadow Priestess, Fire Mage, Affliction Warlock, then Rogue, and then after that, Shadow Priest, Rogue, Paladin. So did all the people that rated Endgame for Trial of Valor stop playing Retribution Paladin, or did they swap characters?
No,
Fury Warrior. Wait. Where's Fury Warrior? It's all the way down here. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right, Fury Warrior. Yeah, that's here. So you can compare. That's 75%. Let's see the max players, because we're talking about the max players, right? That's what we're doing.
Yep.
We're just comparing the max player.
What raid are we on right
Emerald
now?
Nightmare. So the max players in Emerald Nightmare, like the best ones, right? 100%. The very best ones. Shadow Priest, Fire Mage, Retribution Paladin, for Emerald Nightmare. Top 3. Then in Trial of Valor, Shadow Priest, Outlaw Rogue, Salty Rogue. So that's interesting. And then in the Nighthold, Affliction Warlock, Frost Mage, Havoc Demon Hunter. Okay. And then Shadow Priest for Tomb of Sargeras. Shadow Priest, Affliction Warlock, Balanced Druid. The top players will gravitate towards classes that have an advantage, that are able to output more. That's my entire fucking argument. But if you take
I got
them,
you.
if you take them, right? So if you take the guy that plays the Shadow Priest and that outputs insane amounts of damage, and you put him in a Retribution Paladin, my bet is he's going to perform for his class, because that's the only people you can compare him with. You can't compare a Retribution Paladin to Shadow Priest. Doesn't
Agreed.
work.
But just
My
real quick,
point
whoa,
is,
whoa,
he's
just
going
real
to perform
quick.
at the same level.
Just real quick. I just watched you look at a bunch of logs, right? You just kind of muttered to yourself, interesting. You provided literally zero evidence.
Oh,
and
okay,
So
so
that's your
interesting.
point.
So let's see. Okay, so when I said interesting, is Emerald Nightmare, the Fury Warriors, they're like at the bottom tier almost, right?
Okay, that's just that's how they
And-
perform.
No, yeah, they perform terribly. And now you look at them today, and they're performing top 4. And how do you get the amount of people that play it? How can you tell how many people play it?
You can look at the
When you look at
parses. Just scroll down.
It gives me score. Oh, parses, right. 37,000. So 37,622 are playing it. And then Fury Warrior, 23,000. So from the first raid to now, 10,000 people swapped to it.
You do realize that's just the parses of everyone, not the
Let's
max
see.
players, right?
Let's see. So priests, right? First raid, number 1. They're the best, right?
Mhm.
They're the best. 33,000. No, wait, that's this one. Okay, so priests, the first one, they're amazing, super strong, unbeatable. 53,904. And now Shadow Priests, still strong, right? Still strong. Went down by 20,000 people. 33,000.
Because less people play the game.
No, because they fucking swap.
You're
Are
an
you
idiot.
kidding
All
me?
right, I'm out. I can't do this anymore.
Are you going to
I'm
tell
done.
me?
Good luck.
Are you going to tell me that there's no correlation between the swap?
He's out of here, dude.
Just look at all the raids. The top players gravitate. Well, of course he's gone because he lost.
I don't think like anybody was really getting to a conclusion, even if they wanted to. It was just an echo chamber of just arguments.
I mean, I don't understand why we argue at this point. It's stupid. You can see the amount of people who played the class, and you can see that it.
You do realize that the stance you're taking is a very hard one to defend, though. Like, even though you might be like giving points that you genuinely agree with, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's like the absolute and the 100%.
I'm not saying I'm right about everything. I'm just talking about my own personal experience. And right now, the numbers that he had me look at validate my point, which is the top players will gravitate towards the class that have the highest output. But it does not negate my initial statement, which was that a great player will play at the same level no matter what the class is. That's what great players do. They perform. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter what they play. They're going to be great at it. That's why you want to recruit a player, not a class. Recruit someone who can perform well no matter what the class is, and you're never going to be disappointed.
Chess doesn't translate this expansion. It's impossible to play more than 2 classes, pretty much.
No, I completely agree. I'm not saying
then
that's
your
what you
points
want to
are
do.
valid.
No, it's not because
because you can't swap mid tier. So if you recruit a player this tier,
you can't at the same level.
Play
No,
for this tier.
I agree with what you're saying. Here's what I'm saying though.
From a recruiting
If
standpoint,
you're at the
saying
world
doesn't make
first,
any
if you're
sense.
looking, we're talking about the top players in the world. I'm talking about our raid group, right? And for our raid group, I'm not. No, because for a top rating guild in the world, they're gonna gear the people and they're gonna stack them and they're gonna give them everything they need to perform. The only thing it's gonna take is a little bit of time to farm that AP for the weapon to increase it. Like Nabi was saying earlier, 1 point or 2 points is super important. I mean, getting those ranks is important as well. People don't do it. It's sad, but I understand it. But what I'm trying to say is, you can get the gear easily enough. You can get the guy to swap easily enough, because the gear isn't an issue when you can actually farm the content. The gear is an issue when you can't min-max because you are limited by the amount of bosses you can kill every week. And by the luck you have with Titan Forging and War Forging. But for a guild like us, to have a player that can output on a class that has higher potential of damage overall, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You want to have that. If the guy has the ability to perform, even if he's like, okay, so let's say that he parses green instead of blue on a warlock. He's still probably going to trounce my damage. And for us, that's an advantage. I don't care that he parses green. He's still going to kill me on Coven. And that's what we need. So my entire point is valid because I'm not comparing us to endgame players. I'm not comparing us to top 10 players. And I don't understand people who can't make that distinction in my argument. It's actually extremely clear. You want to recruit the player that will be able to be versatile, flexible, and will actually perform at the same or close to the same level than he would on his main on a class that we can utilize.
Well, I'm just gonna say that you're a crazy person, and I love you, bud. But I honestly don't know what the fuck is going on at this point.
I don't think I do either. I just know I'm right.
Oh my. I love it, dude.
Yeah, I'm an asshole. People shouldn't talk to
A
me.
bunch of monkuses going on. I'm gonna get out of Discord though, because I'm really fucking tired. But I actually like the conversation. It was